This morning I'm going to be preaching from a pretty familiar text, or it should be pretty familiar to you. It's Matthew chapter 13, verses 3 through 9. Then he spoke many things to them in parables, saying, Behold, a sower went out to sow. And as he sowed, some seed fell by the wayside, and the birds came and devoured them. Some fell on stony places where they did not have much earth, and they immediately sprang up, because they had no depth of earth. But when the sun was up, they were scorched, and because they had no root, they withered away. And some fell among the thorns, and the thorns sprang up and choked them. But others fell on good ground and yielded a crop, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. During this time of the year, things begin to spring out and grow. That's probably why we call it spring. Everything's in bloom. And likewise, a lot of gardening starts to take place. People begin to break ground and sow seed in anticipation of a harvest. Me, myself, I'm not much of a gardener, but I'm pretty good at breaking the ground and sowing the seed. Usually someone else, like my mother-in-law, comes behind and waters and nurtures the plants to harvest. But there are 5 things that we need to remember about being the sower. First, we need to remember that we need to do good no matter what's going on around us. We need to do good in other people's lives no matter what's going on. Even if something comes in and, like the birds, and eats up all the seed that we sowed, we still need to do good in their lives. We can't get caught up in trying to make them see the good that we did and make them react appropriately to what we did in their lives. We can't do that. Sometimes our good deeds are going to fall on ground that just, it's not going to happen. But that doesn't change the fact that we need to do good every day. We can't be the scarecrow in the field shooing the birds off. That's not what the sower is meant to do. The sower is meant to sow. The next thing that we have to remember is that not all of our seed's going to grow into a harvest. It's plain and simple. Even in this parable, there's only a 25% chance that you're going to get a harvest, because the ground's just not ready, or their heart's just not ready to receive what you're trying to give them. But we can't get disappointed when we don't see that harvest. When we don't see it produce good results in people's lives, we can't get disappointed by that and say, well, I'm just not going to do that anymore. We got to continue on, press on, continue to sow the seed. That can't be an excuse for us to stop doing right. The third thing that we got to remember is the field is not always ready to accept the seed. Sometimes people's hearts are just not ready to accept what you've sowed. But in God's due time, because that word that you've sown in their lives is not going to return void. Because God's word is faultless. If you don't see the harvest right now, it doesn't mean you're not going to see it. It just means they're not ready. And the next thing is the seed. Planting the seed is not the miracle, it's the harvest that's the miracle. It's because sowing seed should be something we do every day. It should be automatic. We should be doing good in people's lives no matter what in our daily walk. Even though we may never see the harvest, we should be continually sowing those seeds. Because someday we are going to see the produce from what we sowed. If that's not even, that's a heavenly reward for us for continuing on to press in to sow those seeds. We're going to see a divine reward for that, even if we don't see it here on earth. The fifth thing is, sometimes sowing that seed is wearisome to the sower. It's a job that can be draining. If you're not seeing results, you're obviously, most people are going to be discouraged. It's just nature. It's human nature. But Galatians 6 and 9 reminds us that it says, "And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall not reap. We shall reap if we faint not." Said differently, if we don't give up, we're going to see the harvest. This is what we've been put on this earth to do. It's what we've been called to do, is to sow the seed of the gospel in people's hearts. And we're not always going to see that harvest. That's just plain. But when we do, we should be giving God the glory, because He's going to bring that harvest in due time. That's all I have this morning. I know it's short and it's simple, but it's basic. We've got to continue to sow the seed of the gospel in people's lives, doing good deeds for them even when it's hard for us and we're not seeing it, but God's going to bring about that harvest. We just have to continue to walk in that path.